Chapter 35, My Life After Cancer Phase Begins. As my time with radiation ended and I received the great news that the cyst on my ovary was nothing to be concerned about, I began a new phase in my journey, the life after cancer phase. For months now, I had done nothing but try to survive. I had pushed myself to the limit and beyond. Now it was time to see what life would be like on the other side of cancer. My radiation burns were fading. Most of the dead skin had peeled away, leaving soft, pink, fresh-looking skin in its place. My lymphedema was behaving for the moment, and the tightness of the skin on the right side of my body was slowly loosening. With each passing day, I was able to lift my arm just a little bit higher. Something that I had not expected in the life after cancer phase, however, was how much I would still be suffering from the side effects of chemo. One would assume that once you are done having poison injected into your body, you return to normal, right? Wrong. Let us not forget the word poison. I had poison injected into my body to kill another poison that was trying to kill me. The chemo did its job of killing the cancer, but the other things that it had killed in its wake of destruction left me wondering if I would ever be able to feel like myself again. There were the standard side effects of hair loss and nausea, of course, and fortunately those had ended once I had completed all my chemo treatments. My hair was coming in nicely and my head was starting to fill up with lots of soft little curls. I had never had naturally curly hair before, so that was a new adventure, but it was a welcome one. I really loved my little curly locks, and even though the texture was different, it felt a lot like baby's fine hair. I was so grateful to have hair again. Another side effect that I was battling was neuropathy. It would hit me out of nowhere, causing waves of pain in my feet. Fortunately, the pain subsided quickly, but it left my feet numb for a few minutes afterward. It was an interesting experience to walk on numb feet, especially when I was wearing high heels. Along with the lingering side effects from chemotherapy, I was also experiencing some residual effects from my breast surgeries. During the surgeries, a lot of nerves had been severed. That left my breasts mostly numb with basically zero hope of the feeling ever coming back. Some of those nerves did not like being separated, and occasionally I would feel a little jolt of searing pain as those nerves tried to reconnect with each other. After the pain of that reconnection attempt, I would experience what I have termed boob itch, a most unpleasant sensation. It was a horrible itch that started deep in my breast, and no matter how hard I tried, I could just not scratch it. It drove me completely bonkers, and still does on occasion. I tried to be discreet when the boob itch would strike and not have it look like I was trying to claw my breast off. But I'm sure that people have caught me in a bad itch moment and have wondered why I was wrestling with my chest. Another thing I was battling was the loss of a comfortable sleeping position. I've always been a stomach sleeper, and now, thanks to the evil tissue expanders, healing scars, and everything else, I had to try to find another comfortable position that would allow me to get the rest I needed. It wasn't working out so well. I felt like instead of sleeping, I just tossed and turned most of the night. I desperately wanted to be rid of those pesky tissue expanders so that I could hopefully resume my normal sleeping position and get the sleep that my body needed to rejuvenate and heal. That loss of sleep contributed heavily to the next side effect on my list, fatigue. I was experiencing an amount of fatigue like I had never known before. It was a tiredness that seeped deep into my bones. After almost a year of being beaten down, my poor body was just completely worn out. I felt like it had aged about 40 years. My stamina was nearly non-existent. I huffed and puffed just walking up a set of stairs. I was slowly trying to work my way into a good exercise routine, but it wasn't going very well. There were days when I would feel pretty good and tried to use my small bursts of energy wisely. It became a strange game of trying to figure out how not to overdo it and conserve some of my precious energy for the next day. It was exhausting, trying not to be exhausted. I was doing my best to try and manage all the lingering side effects, but the one that was the hardest for me to adjust to would have to be the chemo brain. Chemo brain is an actual diagnosis that many post-cancer patients have to learn to live with. It can happen anytime during and after chemotherapy treatments and can be immensely frustrating. Before cancer, I struggled with mom brain. Did you know that having kids actually kills brain cells? It's true, or at least it feels like it's true. My 4 pregnancies and the process of raising my little angels had already robbed me of precious brain function. Now add to that the effects of chemo brain and you have a complete disaster. My mantra became, if I only had a brain, just like the scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. If I only had a brain, I would be able to remember what I was supposed to be doing from 1 minute to the next. If I only had a brain, I would not have to write down every single little thing that someone asked me to do, because if I didn't write it down, it would be gone, out of my brain, as if the conversation never happened. If I only had a brain, I would not wander around the house knowing that I was looking for something, but not having the slightest clue of what I was searching for. In my life before cancer, I had been fairly efficient at multitasking. Now, even the simplest of tasks required my complete, undivided attention. Gone were the days of making dinner while working on bills and other items at the computer. If I wanted dinner to be cooked, and cooked well, I needed to give it my full attention, which in all honesty is probably the better way to go anyway. It was one of the important lessons that I learned. Slow down. Stop trying to do so many things at once. Pay attention to the things that really matter and stop trying to be Superwoman all the time. As the year mark of my diagnosis approached, I started to experience a plethora of emotions on top of dealing with all the physical side effects. 1 minute I felt excitement. Yes, I have made it 1 year. The next minute I would feel anxiety about what memories would be stirred up as I hit each milestone. 1 year from the start of chemo, 1 year from the end of chemo, 1 year from my surgeries. You get the picture. I still could not walk into the cancer center without being assaulted by the smell that hit my nostrils. As soon as the sliding glass doors opened, my stomach started churning. I wish I had the words to accurately describe the smell. It was a combination of a sterile environment, bandages, and medication all jumbled up into one nauseating aroma. I hoped that with time, I would be able to go there without having my mind associate the smell with feeling sick. After all, time heals all wounds, right?